I refused to be my niece's emergency contact after she listed me as hers without asking and then actually called. My niece Kayla is 23. We've always been close enough. Holidays, I helped her move twice. I fronted her security deposit when she got her first apartment 3 years ago. She texts me when something happens that she doesn't want Renee to know about yet. I send birthday money on time, but we don't have the kind of closeness where she knows my schedule or I know hers. There are lanes. She has her mom, my sister Renee, for anything that actually counts. I didn't find out she'd listed me as her emergency contact until the call came 8 months ago. On a Tuesday, I was sitting in a conference room about to give a budget presentation I'd spent 3 weeks building. My boss's boss was there. My phone went off twice while I was pulling up my slides. I silenced it both times. Then a third call in under a minute. I stepped into the hallway. It was a number I didn't recognize. A woman on the other end said she was a dispatcher with a roadside assistance company and that my niece Kayla had been in an accident on Route 9. She was okay, no injuries, but she was pretty shaken and had asked them to reach out to her emergency contact. I said, "How do you have my number?" She said I was listed on file. I hung up and called Kayla directly. She picked up on the first ring, voice all wobbly, saying she'd rear-ended someone at a light and the other driver was being aggressive and she didn't know what to do, and could I please just come? She didn't want to wait there alone. I asked when she'd put me down as her emergency contact. She went quiet for a second. Then she said, "I don't know, like when I set up my car insurance, I just used you because you live the closest. Because I live the closest." I left the presentation. Told my boss it was a family emergency. Drove 20 minutes across town. When I got there, Kayla was sitting on the curb with a coffee that someone had run across the street to get her. The other driver was long gone. A cop was finishing up the last of his paperwork nearby. She had a scratch on her bumper, maybe 3 inches long. She stood up when she saw me and hugged me like I'd pulled her from a burning car. She was fine. She was completely, totally fine. On the drive back, I offered to follow her home since she said she was still shaking. She told me she was so glad she'd thought to put me down. That knowing someone was coming had made her feel so much better. I said, "Did you ever think to ask me first?" She kind of looked over at me. "Your family? I figured you'd want to know if something happened to me." I said I would want to know. But I also had a presentation this morning that I'd spent 3 weeks preparing, and my boss's boss was sitting in that room when I walked out. I'm not saying I regret coming. I'm saying it should have been a conversation first. She said she didn't plan to get in an accident. I said I knew that. She said it felt like I was making her feel like a burden. I said that wasn't what I was doing at all. We drove the last few minutes not really saying much. I thought that was the end of it. 2 weeks later she called. She said she was filling out paperwork for her new job and wanted to just confirm, was my cell still the best number to use? For what? I asked. Emergency contact. I said no. She laughed. Genuinely, like I was joking. I said I wasn't. She said, "So you'd rather I put a stranger?" I told her that wasn't what I was saying. I was saying she hadn't asked me the first time and she wasn't asking me now either. That being someone's emergency contact is something you agree to. You don't list someone and then activate them. She said she didn't understand why I was making it into such a big deal. I said I wasn't. I was just saying no. She got off the phone quickly. Renee called me the next evening. She said Kayla was really hurt and that I'd basically told my own niece I didn't want to be there for her in an emergency. I told Renee the whole thing, the presentation, the fact that Kayla never asked the first time, the part where she tried to do it again 2 weeks later like nothing had happened. Renee said she understood my point, but she thought maybe I could have been softer about it. That Kayla's sensitive, that she was scared on that road, and she called for the person who makes her feel safe. I said, "She didn't call me Renee. A dispatcher called me. There's a difference." Renee said, "She just trusts you." I said, "That's not the same thing as asking." Renee didn't have much to say after that. Kayla hasn't texted since.